Hello, Jamie. This week seems like a little bit light, but it's still a lot of things to talk. Jensen Huang actually gave a commencement speech at Carnegie Mellon, and there were some good sound bites from there that we will talk about on AI and the future ahead.
Yep. And you can't leave out Grok. We'll talk about how they fare against some of their competition.
AI-powered hacking is here, Jamie. We just had kind of like a first type of a zero-day exploit that Google reported, and it seems like AI-driven.
Kind of related to that, Microsoft put out MDASH as a security breakthrough. We'll talk about what that means and its potential implication, hopefully for good.
AI data center is politicized as well, like everything else. So progressives are now calling for a pause on the new AI data centers.
Yeah. And I'm really psyched about this one. Codex comes to ChatGPT Mobile. So we'll talk more about that. And I tried it right before we came on the air. So I'll talk about what I experienced so far.
Me too, Jimmy. I love this codex. Actually, I started using it. It was so amazing building with it. I loved it. Perplexity is also not too behind. They're trying to actually get into more of the enterprise space, actually. And they've brought some natural language, data science kind of analytics with the Snowflake data. Yeah, and Jimmy, I think just a reminder to everybody that this is our episode 100. We have been here for more than 2 years now. Episode 100, that's great. And with that, we will also be launching some new segment called AI at Work, where we will talk about how we actually practically use AI in our work, basically, and starting with some of the examples today.
Yeah, it's crazy and amazing that it's been 100 episodes. It goes by really quick on that. So that's crazy. So a little applause.
Yay, we made it.
With
There
that,
are more coming after a quick introduction.
Greetings. Welcome to the AI Files podcast. If you're looking to stay up to date on the AI, this is the podcast for you. I'm Shadab Hussain. I'm the director of AI at Microsoft, and I'm your co-host.
Hello, everybody. Jamie Basilico, as you know already. I'm the other co-host here for the AI Files. My day job is a data and AI technical specialist and architect. And as a reminder, please note this is not an official Microsoft channel, so the views and opinions expressed by myself and Shadab are our own and do not represent the views of Microsoft.
So, Jamie, this week, Jensen Huang on May 10th, actually, he actually went ahead with his China trip as well. We're not talking about that, but before that, he was actually at Carnegie Mellon, and he gave a commencement speech. This was for the class of 2026. So he talked about several things, and some of them have become sound bites as well. You can find a lot of highlights, but here are some of the important things that he talked about. And I like, to be honest, I do like Jensen Huang's thought on many things. I feel that he's a more practical kind of a leader, not always trying to create a doomsday scenario, etc. Of course, and he sounds more practical to me. I don't agree with him on everything. Nobody does, but I think he has more practical advice. He has risen through the ranks. He has actually worked really hard on the ground and built a company by hand, right, from nothing. So basically, that experience counts a lot. And he talked about that how the graduates are entering at the start of the AI revolution. He compared this moment today to previous platform shifts like the PC, internet, mobile, and cloud eras. But he said AI is bigger because intelligence is foundational to every industry and is applicable. And that's so true, right? I mean, PC started, but PC adoption was a little bit slower in the beginning. It was in certain industry. But I think AI has been so far breaking records for all kind of speed, the fastest adoption, fastest growth, and things like that. And it just cuts across everything. So that's what one of the message he gave. He also talked about, he said that move toward AI and not away from it. He said that no generation has had more powerful tools or greater opportunities. And he said that, so run, don't walk. And then he also talked about how the AI is reshaping far more than tech jobs. AI is creating a new industrial era, not just a new software industry. He talked about the opportunities for electricians, plumbers, iron workers, technicians, pretty much everybody. And AI requires massive physical infrastructure. So that aspect also, right? So AI is not just for the software engineer. It basically is for everybody because everybody will either directly or indirectly benefit from it, right? From what comes. Now, benefit doesn't mean that there will be no impact. He does talk about it, that because your job is consisting of some tasks, some of the tasks will get automated, some jobs will probably eliminate. And he talks about it that, however, some new industries, new opportunities will arise. People can actually build things which nobody else could do that before, because everybody is now a programmer. So, a lot of, I would say, positivity in that message, that you can build a lot of things. It's not just about taking away job, but the new opportunities that are coming up. And he said that, for example, and this is his favorite example. He has done it many times. He used a radiologist as an example, that AI may help read scans, but the deeper purpose of the job is caring for patient. So he said that you have to differentiate between the purpose of the job and the task. The purpose will get amplified. It will get basically boosted, right? But some of the tasks will get automated. So it can help read scans, but the overall, the purpose will remain. And he has given this example before as well, in the sense that radiologists were basically projected that, okay, this profession is dead 10 years ago, actually, because AI had already become too good to read the scans, even 10 years ago. But then it didn't happen. Radiology is still a very, in fact, the top most desired field today, actually, because there is still only a little segment of the population has the access to it. There is so much wider world out there that doesn't even have the access to it or can even afford to it. So there is so much potential. He also talked about that AI gives us a chance to reindustrialize America. And this is basically, it's not just about new jobs, but completely redoing everything, including reindustrializing America itself. But he talked about that it needs to be safe. It needs to be thoughtful. Every parent wants their children to be successful, so they want their children to learn AI, but it also needs to be safe and thoughtful. So we must advance AI capabilities and safety together, and policymakers need to create guardrails that protect society. And then he, of course, talked about a lot about Carnegie Mellon. Carnegie Mellon is one of the remarkable institute, right? In terms of the computers, science, and computer engineering, a lot of work in AI actually has happened in that place. And he was also awarded actually an honorary doctorate as well. Final message, a crux is basically, he says, put your heart into the work. And he said that using the Carnegie Mellon motto itself, which says, my heart is in the work. So that was a pretty viral speech that happened this week.
Yeah, and it's, obviously it was tied to a commencement, but it rings true for what not only people that have been in the career field for a long time, but also those individuals that are graduating. And I really like his last statement, is like, his heart is in the work. And that rings to the people that you have to believe in the things that they know and learn, but then apply that to the ever-changing workforce. As we all know, things are changing. And they have to, especially new graduates, have to embrace that and how they adapt. And that's the biggest thing. So speaking of adapting, great segue into the next topic. So we all know that there's many different frontier firms. We have Anthropic, you've got OpenAI, you've got Mistral, you've got many different firms. Obviously, XAI is one of those as well. I guess they're now SpaceX, whatever their name is, but they've got Grok. So where is Grok faring? There was a big surge, obviously, just when, like any other tool or model came out, a lot of hype around it, but the proof is really in the usage. And some of the things that we're seeing today with that usage is that Grok is literally losing ground to ChatGPT, to Claude, to Gemini. So they went from 20 million plus downloads. And again, this is just one way of gauging things. 20 million downloads in January to less than half of that just in April. And not that much enterprise traction, even though their models are now on different platforms. For example, Microsoft through Foundry enables Grok models to be used, but quite frankly, I have not seen any of the enterprise customers that I work with say, hey, let me use the Grok model. So, are these indicators that there's, issues or problems potentially with Grok? I haven't seen it in the models itself, but it could be just the perception of what Grok and X and XAI and SpaceX actually have. The other thing that you look at, truly, other than downloads, because me personally, I don't really treat downloads as something, because it's gonna like saturate a market once you download it, unless you're looking at like the next version, the next upgrade. But it's about paid adoption, so relatively low. It's less than like 0.5%. It's actually something like 0.17 as it relates to paid adoption ChatGPT has something like greater than 6%. So that signals like weak monetization and just like how sticky is their app and the users that actually want to use it. Again, me personally, I pay for ChatGPT because I like the tools and I like the models that they have. The other indicator too is enterprise adoption. Kind of alluded to that before, with just the things that I've seen personally, but it's relatively small, like 7% enterprise adoption overall versus something like Anthropic and Claude, which has close to 50%. So there's obviously some wide differences between the two. So the other thing that is a telling sign, and we talked about this in the last episode, is that XAI or SpaceX is shifting to allow other organizations to leverage their compute, or the Colossus, right? So they've done somewhat of a pivot to allow their infrastructure to be monetized, which is obviously going to generate billions of dollars for them. So instead of, to me, this signals that they're not focusing just on let's make Grok the best that it can be and let's monetize that. They're looking at, hey, all the infrastructure that we're running to either train or do inference for Grok, they're using that to lease out to other firms like Anthropic. So anyway, that's Grok. If we're talking about like a race between top 4, top 5, they certainly seem like they're in trailing that race.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised, Jamie. I think I would say the bottom line is that it's not about Grok, it's about Musk. So I think it's really that I think his brand of politics became, very, I would say, polarizing. And it's really about that. Otherwise, Grok, I think the models are actually pretty capable.
Yeah.
They appear on the top of the benchmarks many times. It's very clearly, it's a great lesson for people. I think the business leaders need to understand that, do not mix politics and business, at least in the public life. That's the message, basically. What you do behind the scene is a different thing, but people are very sensitive about the politics before they adopt. So anyway, moving on, Google says hackers used AI to develop a major security flaw. And this is like a first confirmed case of hackers using AI to discover and build a zero-day exploit, and which is basically a major shift from theoretical to real-world AI-driven cyber threats. And it is even more concerning that, with all the advanced capability that were reported through the GPT Cyber as well as the Mythos from Claude, this is happening. And it's here. It's already happening. Now, we don't even know actually which model was used, but Google is reporting this because they found the traces, right? They found the fingerprints on this, which basically based on the kind of like the some code, some of the typical Python based code that AI writes. Those fingerprints basically help them identify that this is actually based on that. And this was actually for a open source web-based tool, web admin tool, actually. This has been already fixed, but that's where they actually found. So I would say just getting a start. So here is the first one. What will happen next? We don't know. We have already seen how these things can become, what happened with CrowdStrike last year, etc. Right? Some of these things massive. And I hope we don't have a repeat of these kind of situations. So let's see what will happen.
Yeah, and I unfortunately, I think we're going to see more and more of this. AI can be used for good, as we know. It could also be used for bad. So you're always going to have people that are going to try to exploit the capabilities of other systems and tools. So I don't think this will be the last that we'll hear of hackers trying to do this. And it goes back to, I think, about the things that are in the news, like with Mythos and the projects that are being put in place to reduce these day one vulnerabilities. Not everything's going to be patched, hopefully it is, but this is an example of that. Now, this would be another great segue. So Microsoft actually released a tool called MDASH, which is it's an agentic workflow that helps to find bugs within Windows. So it's codenamed MDASH. It's a multi-model agentic vulnerability scanning harness that actually can uses many different specialized agents under the covers, but it's used to discover and identify bugs in an end-to-end process. So this actually helps the team find 16 different vulnerabilities within the Windows networking core and also the authentication stack, including 4 critical remote code execution flaws. And we think about what is the most quote unquote devastating ones. It's that remote execution where someone could actually take over and control things within your computer. So these were actually reported in this last Tuesday's patch cohort. So underneath the covers, again, how it works, MDASH uses an ensemble of 100 plus different specialized agents that stages across different pipelines, everything from like scanning, debating, deduping, and proving. So the harness, it's not just a single model. It's actually this collection of things that drives a production grade result for overall identifying Windows bugs. So this is it's available internally, but is being offered in a limited fashion to a set of customers in a private preview. So again, if you're a large organization and you're listening to this or part of a large org, just reach out to your Microsoft rep or account team, and they can potentially get you into that limited preview. But again, it's a step in the right direction. I see Microsoft, obviously, as well as other companies, probably doing that where they're leveraging these same type of tooling and agents to be the quote unquote good rather than be the evil side of things.
Amazing. These kind of tools and capabilities are so much required. All right. So another quick news: progressives are pushing pause on the AI data centers. People like Representative AOC and Senator Bernie Sanders, they argue that this pause is needed to assess risk to workers, communities, and the power grid. And of course, we have seen it, right? I mean, this just continues to happen. And again, I blame that kind of a corporate greed into this, where there is a senseless AI washing going on, and it's then everybody start becoming like basically suspecting of the AI progress. For example, Cisco recently did the layoffs, okay, just I think last week or this week, and they announced a record quarter, okay, great record, great quarter. However, they say that okay, we have to invest in AI, so we're gonna we are getting some. I feel that this is like, don't blame it on AI. There's just be responsible and say that we need to manage our cash flow better. This is nothing to do with that, and people are just using a lame excuse and doing that because that is actually creating a backlash, and the backlash doesn't help. As you talked about it, Jamie, that what has happened with the Grok adoption is nothing but backlash, and unfortunately, because of this, there is a backlash that is already there's an undercurrent of backlash developing, so it's not going to help. And that's what this demand also reflects, because it is now being seen as a tool which is basically only creating a divide between the rich and the poor. And for that reason, they're actually asking for this pause. So I think some of these states have taken some initiative, like, for example, they don't want to have an impact for the sake of impact on the power grid, etc. So like I think Maine has put a moratorium on the data centers also. But, a lot of lawmakers are now demanding a nationwide moratorium as well. So we'll see what will happen, because the demand still looks strong. And it is still driving a lot of growth in the economy. So it would be hard to pause.
Yeah, I look at this as, are these like just talking points? I mean, obviously they have conviction for what they're trying to push. And again, you mentioned AOC and Bernie Sanders. Well, I think this will actually get passed? No. Is it something where we have to spend a little bit more time in thinking about what it means in terms of impact on electricity? For sure. And we've seen these things, in the news, bringing back up, nuclear power plants. The bottom line is we need some way that's going to be fulfilling the electrical needs and the impact on the grids. And we certainly know certain areas in this country have been woefully left behind with keeping up with the demands of the electric grid that is needed. So I guess more to come on this, but one thing is for certain, the more powerful the models that we have, the more that they're going to need in terms of training them and running the inference on it. And we're going to just continually need more and more power. And if you think about it this way, think about how many people or companies are actually using AI. It's really small. Go maybe 5 years in the future and the potential demand. If we do not have the supply in terms of electricity, we're not going to be able to keep up. So to me, this is important. We just need to address it the right way. All right. Speaking of important, this one is super cool. At least I think it is. It's Codex. So OpenAI, if you haven't been paying attention, Codex, they've been putting a lot of work into it. It seems like it's rapid in terms of the improvements, but it was last year. Codex, okay, great web-based development, and it was strictly focused on code. We moved now into the ability to have desktop apps, and now OpenAI has publicly come out and said Codex is going to be their super app. So they're adding more and more capabilities into Codex directly. Even like some new things like the onboarding process and how you use Codex. So what's the main drawback of Codex? You got to be on a computer. You got to be sitting next to it. I'm literally looking at my other machine. I have Codex running. I have to be here. I have to type in. Now, granted, I could do remote desktops getting into this machine, but I need remote desktop. Where are most people today? They always have their phone on them somewhere, somehow, right? Much in the way that I'm using OpenClaw today and using Telegram to integrate and run commands against OpenClaw. Now Codex brings that same thing, and they do it through the ChatGPT app. So Codex is now integrated with the mobile app. So this brings the ability for me using the mobile app to directly monitor and interact with Codex from anywhere in the world. So real-time connection for my development environments. Think of it this way. I literally could be at a coffee shop inside a Starbucks, wherever you like to go, and work with your Codex environment, sending instructions to do, hey, let me do code reviews, or please look at all my emails in my inbox and clean it up for me. I literally can do that now sitting inside a Starbucks. So it does this through some secure, obviously, channels. So it's got a secure relay, keeps machines accessible without exposing them publicly, so you don't have to worry about that. And also it does this behind the scenes in terms of syncing the session states across different devices. And as I said before, it lets you review outputs, approve various different actions that the agents are doing, change direction, switch models, all these different things that I could literally only do up until a couple days ago inside of Codex, living on my desktop. Now I'm able to do that directly, working with that desktop app within my ChatGPT mobile app. So there's so many different things that this enables. I could do remote debugging. I could do refactoring of my code. I could prepare literally customer briefings while I'm in that Starbucks, right? Or just tooling down the road. I can also capture ideas on the go, and then have Codex actually build things for me. And again, I'm not going into Codex. We could do a whole show just on Codex itself, like what it's enabled to do, all the things that it connects to, the built-in browser and computer use things. All that can be tapped into via the ChatGPT environment. So I know, Shadab, you said you were kicking around some things with it as well.
Oh yes, this I started doing some work, and I think that's what I wanted to talk about as part of our AI at work that we are launching. I have a website, Jamie, for a nonprofit it's a family nonprofit that we have called HusseinEars.org. Actually, basically, our family building things using engineering and AI, and literally I use the Codex app. I hadn't used it before. What I did is I actually downloaded the website dump, some existing pages. It was just actually one static page, okay, literally. One static page which had everything like about initiatives and all the things that we did. My daughter actually had developed that website. And I asked it to actually reassess this, do a redesign completely, and make a structure. It analyzed everything. It suggested that, okay, this is the structure that you should actually have. You should do a multi-page. Do you want to do multi-page? And then I said that yes, ask for some permission, which I had to click and assign those permissions. And then basically it just built it. And then all I had to do was take those new pages that it built and upload that on the website. And voila, this is done. And the site looks amazing. It did a complete redesign, very structured code, I would say. And my site looks amazing. Then I also asked it to create some forms, right? New forms to get the expression of interest for some of the, the mentorship that we were offering, things like that, right? So it's amazing the way it did, very fast. In 30 minutes, I was done, Jamie. Okay, this was remarkable. And I was so thrilled. I want to do it every day. I want to build things every day now. I would definitely recommend that, this is one of the best way to actually get a power feeling. You don't need to know. I did not write a single code. Okay. And if you I had the website already, domain, etc. But if you did not, anybody can go and even ask it to suggest how to get started. It was guide you through the entire domain registration and everything. It was so powerful. And with this ChatGPT mobile app, I think this is another level, because yes, as you said, when I did it, I actually did that on the computer. I had to be there. But with this, it's basically like similar to, I think, what Anthropic has kind of remote control, right? That kind of functionality. So this would be amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And I think the moral of the story, whether or not you're using Codex and the remote control capability within ChatGPT, it's really talks about where we've gone in just a short period of time on what the capabilities of these tools can be. Again, whether or not you're using OpenClaw, using Codex, or using Claude Code or GitHub CLI, you can literally be a pro web developer within a matter of like that. Because if you can speak or type, you're able to then interact with these experts that are able to build things. And I love how you put it, you know, what you were able to do in a half hour with your site and then wanting to do more. I kind of, I don't, it's not me that coined this, it's somebody else that I listened to, but he called it FOMA, fear of missing out on agents, right? It's sort of like, and I'll equate it this way. I think of like, I'm walking down the road and I'm like, hey, I could build this. And it's like, all right, I'm going to go build it. But then I'm starting to think about like what else is out there? What else can I do? Because it's so fun and cool, if I could use that, to actually just build these things. And you do not need to be an expert. Now, I will caveat that you still need to understand concepts and how things are architected, because sometimes you need to troubleshoot. But literally anybody today can start to build applications. And literally over the last week, using OpenClaw, using Codex, using GitHub CLI, I've literally built 4 different applications. And if I had to do that by hand without these tools, it would have taken me 4 years to do what I just did in literally 4 days with 4 different applications. So it is mind-boggling.
It is, and here is that website, Jimmy, which I built. Actually, this is live demo. This is completely done using Codex. Okay, so look at all these pages. This entire design is done by Codex. Okay, it took some of these projects that we're running. Basically, my daughters run some channels and food blog and all those kind of apps, some initiative, social initiative, mentorship. It created everything. It created this, for example, this form also, right? I mean, you can put the expression of interest. Somebody wants like basically guidance. So this is actually my daughter's initiative. Basically, they run it, but I was helping them with rebuilding some of those things. And you can see it, right? I mean, I even said that, okay, I put the resume of my daughters and asked it to actually recreate a page for them, right? Each of them. And it did. I just threw a resume, that's all. And it did. Basically, it created an entire page for my daughter's profile, basically. So it's just amazing, right? I mean, the kind of things that we can do is just incredible. And I say, right, this was 30 minutes the initial work, another 30 minutes I spent later doing some more stuff. But amazing. If you have not done the vibe coding yet, you're literally living under a rock, basically.
It's amazing. I would love to see what it looked like beforehand. I don't know if you like saved an image or still have the old site up, but like the site looks excellent. And if we were 5 years ago, you probably would have had to pay like $50,000 to somebody to create it. And you were able to create it in what, half hour? So
exactly. It's just mind blowing. Actually, I was very, very impressed with what I've done. Like, it's been a long time. I used to do the coding and create website like 25 years ago, Jamie. I was so thrilled because I was feeling that again.
Yeah, it's a level of excitement without actually having to write a single line of code. So it's cool.
Perfect. I think that's pretty much a wrap for the week. The only one quick note: Perplexity is actually also trying to operate in the enterprise space. They launched something called the Snowflake connector for the Perplexity computer, which is basically where you can do some things using the Perplexity. Like in this case, basically there is a connector that connects with the Snowflake where a lot of data can reside, and then it creates a data map. So kind of a semantic layer it generates. It takes some time to do that, and once it has done that, then you can basically use a natural language query to actually ask for the insights, etc., and then it will go and operate on top of that data. So it is their attempt to get into the enterprise space as well. And this could be both Snowflake and Perplexity are exposing that to their customers. So could be a good tool for people who are invested in Snowflake and are also using Perplexity. Okay, great. Jamie, again, I think congratulations. We made it 100 episodes, and thank you everyone for the support. And we will continue to bring out the content.
Yeah, 100 episodes. And again, where's my applause button? Gotta hit the applause. Gotta use these quick tools. So with that, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye, Jimmy.